into it. Now, I will preface by saying there's a few guys that we've already talked about. If you're on the YouTube channel or just in general, if you're on the YouTube channel, there will be a playlist above. You click on those, and because there's a few guys that signed last week that we've already talked to and already have film on. So I'm gonna skip those. I'll mention their names to keep with the flow. But overall, I'm going to just skip those and go on to the guys that we haven't discussed yet. So starting as I always do from quarterback on the way down, you've got Mason Willingham, the freshman quarterback signee out of Owasso, and then Carson Trimble, the freshman quarterback out of Grove. Again, if you want to hear from those guys personally and see their highlights, again, if you're on the YouTube channel, click the link above. If you're here on Spotify, just find them in the playlist. Now, the third quarterback that they brought in, and it's somebody I'm honestly surprised chose UCO, given the fact that once Stephon Brown is returning for a super senior season here, and I know he was getting some D1 interest as well. That's Missouri Southern grad transfer Dawson Hurl. Now, if you've been a long-time listener the past few years, you know how high I am on Dawson Hurl. This is a guy. Let's be honest here. There's not a lot around him. I feel like he was able. He definitely was their best. He's definitely been the most consistent Missouri Southern quarterback in my time covering, dating back to 2017. The only other one that could come close was 2019 when they had former four-star Iowa State and Georgia quarterback Jacob Park. But it's in terms of like a consistency standpoint, Dawson Hurl is that guy. He comes to UCO with 2 years of eligibility off a season which he threw for 2,260 yards, 16 touchdowns to 6 interceptions at a 54.8% completion percentage. It must also be noted he's undefeated as a starter against UCO. He had the game-winning touchdown pass against UCO in 2021 to win the game in the waning seconds, and then last year, this past season, had a whale of a game. Dawson's a guy, to me, he does not wow you, right? He's not Steph, right? Okay, like Steph wows you. That's what he does. Dawson's more of a I'm going to execute the offense at a high level, right? Like, I didn't put the running stats. I think he only had like 82 yards due to sacks. I mean, he's not a burner, but he's not slow. Missouri Southern did run some read option with him, some quarterback keepers with him. I just like his decision making. I think he's got really good touch there on the deep balls. It's something about him. Like I feel like with Dawson can win a lot of football games. Okay, the Missouri Southern is not the best program. Again, they won 4 games this year. That's probably the most they won. I don't know, 6-7 years. This is a guy that knows how to have success, how to win with less. With the weapons that UCO has and has added, as we will see here, I'm really high on Dawson. I think this works hand in hand with Steph, because we know the strides that Steph took last year. You bring in a guy like Dawson Hurl, a proven guy, a proven winner in his conference. I think it's just only going to push Steph there. And I'm feeling confident now if, again, hope it doesn't happen, Steph goes down or Steph has a rough day, I think you have more confidence in somebody like Dawson coming in there and leading you to a win compared to what we saw out of Peyton Thompson last year that just did not instill much confidence, at least to me. I think Dawson provides that. I think you might see maybe some 2 quarterback systems there. I just think that getting Dawson Hurl, to me, maybe one of the most underrated moves of the offseason, because it's just in the conference as tough as the MIAA with 11 straight weeks of tough, hard-nosed football. Just getting somebody that knows what it takes to win in the conference behind one of the most electrifying players in the conference is just the rich getting richer. And so I'm really happy that Dawson Hurl is now a UCO Bronco. Looking at the running backs, They went out and signed two. The first one, there was no highlights or measurables. That is NEO transfer Trayvon Woolfolk. Now, I did look him up. I think I found his high school huddle. I know he's about like 220. I kind of watched some of his high school tape. I wasn't sure if that was him or not. But he's definitely a physical downhill runner, which is very good because I felt like the only power back really we had was Jace. And we know Jace is going to come off that 20 ACL, so we just don't know. Just the way that running backs coach James Gilbert utilized the running backs last year with Jace, Peyton Scott when he was healthy, Nasir Kemper when he was healthy, Jenna Cottrell who had a breakout season, Antonio Jr. Smith before he quit, and then the fullback Andrew Carney. There's definitely touches to go around. But the one we do have highlights on that you're seeing now is 5'9", 180-pound Iowa Central Community College transfer, Jaden Washington. First of all, I have to thank Iowa Central for a second straight year. If you recall, that's where wide receiver Madison Ridgeway came from last year. And if you were here last year, you know how high I was and still am on Madison Ridgeway. Jaden Washington, I'm just going to be honest with you here. Okay, if you go back in the playlist here, you will see T.J. Roberts' interview. T.J. Roberts is different than Jaden Washington in terms of size. I think T.J. is like 5'11", about 215. But I have not seen a UCL running back signing coming into the fold, however you want to phrase it, that has a type of home run ability that Mr. Washington has. I mean, you're seeing this here. I mean, the man's shifty. Definitely the home run hitter. He doesn't go down easy despite the size there. I think that's just because people's not able to get a clear shot on him. Really shifty, really good at making you miss. The cuts right there are just deadly. Jaden Washington's a guy. I'm gonna be honest with you here. We were lacking. They were lacking a home run hitter last year in the backfield. I know Jenna Cottrell had the 80-yard run against Northwest Missouri. But that's just because the hole was as wide as the Atlantic Ocean. In terms of a little crease, Jaden Washington is a guy that can take it to the house. This is a guy I really think there's a few guys. Him, I really think can come in here, make a huge impact in the already deep backfield. It's just going to be another weapon there for Coach James Gilbert to utilize there. I just think that there's something special here. I don't know if he will be impactful in the return game, because to me, we can get somebody to go with Kobe Stevens out there in the return game, would be lovely. Then looking at the wide receiver, again, we've already talked to Malachi Gatewood. And we also talked to Danny Armstead. Those are two receivers. Again, Malachi reminds me somewhat of now former UC wide receiver Trymar the fourth in terms of making the short catch, the contested catch, and just the tough over middle catch. Danny Armstead to me is a wild card because all his tape was practice film, similar to the guy we are about to discuss here. But you can see the length, you can see the athleticism there. So I'm curious to see what Danny does. But there's Tariq Logan, 5'11", 175, out of Hutchinson Community College in Kansas. It just reminds me a lot of Jacob Delso. Jacob Delso, right? I think was similar size. We know what he can do in the short, intermediate, and the deep game. Jacob made, I think, 2 or 3 catches this year that just guys his size don't normally make. I get a similar vibe out of Tariq Logan. This is very good because, let's be honest here, they're lacking the consistent. Now, I think with Madison being healthy will make a huge difference. But as of now, to me, they're lacking a top 3. Like, you got Delso, to me, is the unquestioned one at this point in time. Like I said, I think Madison Ridgeway, if he can stay healthy, is definitely a viable option. But you're losing by Zelda fourth, right? You need more consistency out of Terrell Davis, the now sophomore out of Choctaw, out of Javion Dangerfield, the now sophomore out of Duncan. Like, you're just going to need more consistency there. And I think that's where a guy like Tariq Logan and Darius Melton can come into play. Darius Melton, 6'1", 205, Highland Community College transfer, started his career at UCF. This is a guy. This is a guy I really like. I think Darius Melton here it reminds me of a mini Josh Crockett. Again, those that knew Josh Crockett, absolute beast out of Bristol, one of the best wide receivers in school history. Spent some time with the Kansas City Chiefs, Hamilton Tiger Cats, and Dallas Renegades of the XFL. Now, he's not as fast and he's not as tall. Crockett was 6'4", 195, ran a 4.4, had a near 40-inch vertical. Okay, that is not Darius Melton. But if you watch the film, you see a lot of it. You see the physicality, the going up to get the ball, making the acrobatic catches there, going across the middle, making the acrobatic catches. Is tough to bring down. It took several defenders to bring him down. Just a physical presence there, and something that I also felt like was lacking some out of the receiving core. And so I'm glad we're getting more of those physical receivers. They might not be the 6'3", 6'4" guys, but these are guys that will go up and fight for each and every catch. And I feel like they brought in 4 quality receivers, and that wide receiver room is just going to be wide receivers. Coach Coughlin, the coordinator, James Curley has got a lot. It's going to be tough for guys because you still got Kevion Williams back. You've got Jalen Slim Reed out of Ardmore off redshirt that I believe is a clone of former UCLA receiver Mikael Hall. Is just going to be tough. It's just going to be tough. And I hope that opens up the pass game more because let's be honest here, the offense was just not explosive last year. So I have to give the staff credit for going out and finding some really, really good playmakers. They also added a tight end, Casey Klein, 6'4", 248 out of Boise State. He's actually a defensive end at Boise State. They did post some film on Twitter, but I guess it has been since taken down, so I'm not able to see it. So I'm really interested to see how that works out. I know we're still low on numbers there. We've got all the tight ends to our knowledge is still returning, and Devin Bailey, Oscar Hammond, who had a breakout true freshman season out of Collinsville, and then Tyler McCarty, who's got redshirted out of Tuttle. So I'm really curious to see how that shakes out. I'm curious to see what Mr. Klein can do. Then on the offensive line, they added a tackle. Now, again, if you followed the season, you know the offensive line, it was a sore spot. It was inconsistent. The all-conference tackle, Noah Dobson, was inconsistent. The other tackle, I felt like we started a few guys there. I think they might have found a solution to that. In 6'4", 305 SWASU grad transfer Miles Moy. He has 2 years of eligibility left. I'm going to be honest with you here. We know Coach Doyle likes to run the ball downhill. Miles is the perfect guy for that. The tape is just full of pancakes. He gets his man on the ground quickly. He's just nasty and physical at the point of attack. He gets to the second level there, and he stays on and finishes blocks. It's one of those, and he's proven he can do it at the Division II level, which is very good. Because again, if you look at the offensive line, I think we're returning. Should be returning everybody pending transfers. Because obviously you're led up front by Lane Grantham, the senior center. You've got Noah Dobson, who will now be a junior, I think, sophomore, junior, something like that. He's coming off an honorable mention, I think, all-conference season, in which to me, I feel like he had a sophomore slump. And then you've also got Cooper McCoy. You've got Kellen Culberson, who's solid. You've got Walker Peck, the now sophomore out of Norman North, that saw a lot of playing time as a true freshman. You've also got some really good-looking red shirts there. Reese Trammell, to me, was the best of the bunch there. I think, though, Miles brings a different edge to it. Like if you run behind Miles, good things will happen. And again, if you watched last year, they did like to get to the outside. There was a lot of sweeps. There was a lot there were some tosses that didn't really work, but there was some sweeps. There was some outside zones. We know they like to run that quarterback power with Steph to the outside. As somebody like Miles that you can run behind and know more times than not, there's going to be yards there. I think it's just only going to make that unit better, along with now just a year of experience playing together and in the system. So I really think adding somebody like Miles is a huge get, because again, we need that offensive line unit there to take the next step in order for the playmakers that they have and that they added last week to really help out the offense that really needs to improve, because to me the offense held a lot back last year. Hard to win games, and you're only averaging, what was it, like 22 points per game? It shouldn't be the case. That should not be the case next year with the weapons they have across all levels. So I'm really glad that they added somebody like Miles into the fray. Then you're looking on the defense here. They added 2 defensive players. They added a defensive lineman, Riker Thurber out of NEO. Now again, he had no measurables on the NEO website. I did find his high school film when he was at Jinx, and I have one note here, and that note says Noah West Jr. Now, if you're new, Noah West was the Cho Show Podcast Network Defensive Player of the Year. Noah West, I think he was third team or all conference. He should have been higher than that. Just made an impact each and every game. He almost had a pick six that was called back for a penalty. But the man had some forced fumbles. He had some sacks, TFLs, picks. He was a Army transfer out of Bigsby with a defensive end 2021. They had the coaching change. Coach Brandon Lechtenberg comes in. They move him to more of a stand-up pass rusher, and the man has just thrived. When you look at Riker, it's the same thing. He gets to the quarterback. He affects the play. He's really explosive. He's really physical. Knows how to break down and make the tackle. There's just a lot to like there. That's why I'm out of you here, because UCO is losing 2 of the better pass rushers that I've had the honor and a pleasure of watching in a UCO uniform, and Robert Fuentes and Michael Slater. So somebody like Riker has a huge opportunity to come in here and make his presence felt, even if it is just as a situational pass rusher, because you gotta affect the quarterback, and obviously you are returning Mike Pope Jr., who had a breakout year. You're returning Julius Coates, Zay Adams, Hunter Largent there, Avaka on the interior. But in terms of that outside pass rush, I just really think Riker, if that Jinx tape is anything to look at, I'm really confident here that UCO might have 2 legitimately really good stand-up pass rushers, and because we know Noah West is probably now going to get double teamed due to now Robert and Mike being gone. So if Riker can come in there and live up to what we're seeing here, I really, really like what that addition is to that defensive line unit, that front 7 unit. And then the final player here, maybe at the most important position, because again, if you follow UCO last year, you know the secondary, it just was not good. It was called what it is. It just was not good. There's Dylan Buckheit, there's Kobe Stevens, and then there was a bunch of Okay, so we have they have to get rid of that and get some consistency back there. Now, this man here, Ray Walters the third, 6'2", 195, out of East Los Angeles Community College. Long range, strong safety, had 5 picks this past season. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I know there's Jonathan Mosley, love the guy to death. He has a great name. There's Raekwon Wicks. He was banged up some last year. He had a breakout season in 2021. I'm just saying, Ray Walters the third, with the size, the ball hawking ability, the physicality, definitely is the most physical safety I can safely say since my man Ja'Cory Hunt was running the secondary back there in 2018 and 2019. The UCO is losing Trayvon Craig, who by far was the most physical defensive back this past season. Ray Walters, though, I mean, if you're watching the tape like that, if we get that out of Ray Walters, this is an all conference caliber guy. I mean, you've got the range, which is very good because the MIAA does have some big physical receivers. He's got the range. He's really fluid for a man of his size. You know, you get some of those taller defensive backs don't really bend well, they don't really turn well. That's not Ray. He seems to know where to be in coverage. Like I said, he's a ball hawk. It's really good. This is a really good pickup. I said there has to be an area of focus. I wish would have gotten a few more defensive backs. Now, obviously, there's still another sign there to come. I just need that unit to improve. I felt like there was signs last year. There was spurts, but really outside of Kobe Stevens and Dylan Buckheit, there just was not consistency there. Like, Mosley had some solid games. Raekwon Wicks, he had a very good game against Emporia, and like I said, and then he was hurt. Amonte Davis is a guy. They moved to safety after Raekwon and Mosley was hurt. I thought he played better at safety than he did at corner. Tivis Fadano, again, just up and down. Same with Kyshawn Murray. Ran Lure some. I will say I am high on now sophomore Jamori Ray out of Union. He came on strong at the end of last season as a true freshman. And then you also got Aaron Hamilton out of Awoka. Had that beautiful pick against Northeastern State. Played a lot more down the stretch as well. And then Zalik Lewis out of Denison, Texas. Is just another guy. I'm still high on. He said I had a pick 6 in the Northeastern State game as well. But we just got to get more consistency back there. I think definitely adding somebody like Ray to help alleviate the pressure of Dylan Buckheit from having to make every tackle back there. I love the man to death, but we got to get somebody to help him back there. And I think that Ray Walters is definitely that guy, because now if you try to throw the ball away from Dylan, I think you're throwing it to an equally, if not better, ball hawk in Ray Walters, who's longer than Dylan Buckheit, and that might scare some people into throwing it to Buckheit, which is a grave mistake because, as we know, Dylan Buckheit just an absolute gamer. So this is a huge pickup there for Coach Adam McGuire in that secondary. And it's just, in summary here, just a really good start to what is another critical class here in the second year of the Alan Durrell era. Obviously, we know they finally had the winning season last year. It should have been better than 6 wins, but there was some shortcomings that the Jazz can only be fixed through recruiting, and I feel like this is definitely a great start to it, because to me, you've got a possible day one starter at defensive back. You've got a day one starter on the offensive line. You've at a minimum got a rotational pass rusher there, and then you're looking at running back. Jaden Washington's. I just would not be surprised if opening day the man is starting. There's nothing. This is nothing. No disrespect to Jenna Cottrell, to Jace. I just don't know how that injury is. I just feel the man, he's just special to me. I think it's just gonna be tough. I'm interested to see the receivers, especially Danny Armstead and Melton, and then obviously the quarterback there of Dawson Hurls. So I just really excited here about what this class is looking like. And so I cannot wait to see what signing day has in stores.